call this August 19th Rapid City Council order. All rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Scrover,
Here.
Lopez,
Here.
Cora,
He's excused.
Rio,
Here.
Mayor McDonald,
Excused.
Department Heads, Chief Ward,
Here.
Chief Taylor,
Here.
Chip Camilla,
Here.
Shane Oshman.
Here.
Roll received a copy of the minutes of the last stated meeting. If there are no corrections or objections, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved. Second?
Councilman Scrover,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Rio,
Yes. I'd like to announce this time that Rapid City Council can and may hold an executive session anytime between this and our next regularly stated meeting. Departmental reports.
I have the monthly report for Public Works, July 2022.
I have property maintenance, police.
Okay, and parks.
OECD was submitted prior to the meeting.
Does anybody have any correspondence they'd like to offer? This letter that was left up there.
They're here.
We'll do then a petition here, visitors. If you'd like to address the Rapid City Council, we ask you please stand and state your name and address for the record. I'm looking for Ken Dubois. Ken Dubois here?
Yes,
Okay, really, good. You want to go first?
thank you, Councilman, for hearing this. I'd like to address the Rapid City Council's request permission to honor one of our own residents, James Keith Oxley, to name the Elm Street Bridge. Jim was born April 3rd, 1946, to Keith and Mary E. Oxley. He was survived by 4 siblings, Martha, Jeannie, Jeff, and Scott. James is a 65 graduate of Brad High in letters and football and basketball. He enlisted in the Navy to become a Navy corpsman. You may ask me why this is important to me. Well, I'm here to tell you that Jim was my next door neighbor on High Street growing up. And I was 17 when I learned that he gave his life along with 16 Marines in the battle of Quang Tri Province in Vietnam. On November 30th of this year, it'll be 55 years since Jim lost his life along with his fellow Marines in the battle of Quang Tri Province. Jim served as the corpsman with the 3rd Marine Division. Names of the Marines that lost their lives that day are attached to the letter. My request is to memorialize the Elm Street Bridge that is currently under construction in James' honor. I currently have the backing of the Veterans of Foreign Affairs Post 212 and the American Legion Post 108 to fund the signage and poles in Jim's honor. What I am seeking assistance in with design and placement and sign brackets to the bridge. Please consider this request to memorialize Jim, who was a soldier who lost his life for our freedom. Thank you for your time and looking forward to hearing back to my request. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you for bringing this to our attention and attending the meeting tonight. Obviously, the council will have to take it under advisement.
Yes.
We can't make a decision tonight, particularly if we're missing a couple of members. Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the city council? Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Here's Michelle Cleveland, 32 Abbott Road. And I just have a bunch of signatures from around the neighborhood of the same thing we've all been dealing with, Nancy Fire and the vulgarity. We just wish, we'd like somebody to do something if they can. Does anybody want the petition or? I mean, we have, I think, 9 kids under 15 just in that block alone. There's a bus stop right there in front of her house. So someone might want to alert the school district to expect in the next couple weeks when school starts and that bus stop starts there because they're elementary kids, to maybe have an explanation ready for what CUNT means when the kids come home and ask. And I live directly across from her, so during the Big 30 game, I had multiple people from out of town stop and video, take pictures, ask me why this has happened, why this is allowed to happen, why is our city letting this happen? And I had to tell them.
City's not letting it happen.
I'm just telling you, this is what the people from out of town asked me. Why is our city letting this sign that says CUNT be posted on a public street? And I had to answer, I have no idea of free speech. She's allowed to say whatever she wants, and multiple people from out of town on the Big Dirty Game were like, this is disgusting, you should be embarrassed. There's nothing I can do. I gotta look at this every day.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cleveland, I certainly sympathize with all of you dealing with this. We have kept a close eye on the situation. I'm familiar with most of the calls you've made to not only City Hall, but to the police department as well. I'd like to assure you that at this point, we've done everything in our legal ability to rectify the situation. Unfortunately, the United States Supreme Court defines what people are allowed to do more so than the city ordinance. So the city ordinance is there as a guideline, but the United States Supreme Court defines every word in that ordinance. And the use of obscenity or obscene language is defined very narrowly by the Supreme Court. I know the police department has enforced the laws they are able to enforce. I know property maintenance has enforced the laws that they are charged with enforcing. And I know that we have looked at this from zoning and the sign ordinance standpoint. And again, I sympathize with you. I can't put myself in your position because I don't live there, but I'm sure it's very frustrating to say the least. And I will tell you we will continue to do everything we can within the law, but I also have to maintain and protect the city of Bradford from a legal standpoint.
One question though, is since, her behavior has escalated in a year, multiple ways. So if it comes to the point that she hurts someone, will there be any
If there is
what would the city do since there's been a long list of complaints?
what would the city do?
Because we've complained to everybody
Well,
that she is escalating.
Right, and it is my belief that the police department and the city has done everything, and it is documented that we have done everything in our legal power. If she crosses the line and was to commit a criminal action, then the police department will handle that. If she crosses the line to where she does violate a zoning ordinance or a property maintenance violation or a sign ordinance, then we will enforce that. I don't believe that anybody can say that we've ignored anything that we have the legal ability to enforce.
Okay.
So I do realize that there is a concern what would happen, but I also believe that all of the departments have done everything within their power, within their legal ability to enforce the law as we are allowed. And I don't know if you have anything to
Counsel,
add.
would you like to add?
Well, as the Supreme Court, as Chris said, really narrowly defines obscenities. The First Amendment protects a really broad scope of speech, and those forms of speech that it doesn't protect are very narrowly defined, and the Supreme Court strictly construes anything that comes before them with respect to speech. The specific sign that you referenced would, if it were to not be protected speech, it would fall under the category of obscenity or obscene speech, which there's a three-part test that the Supreme Court has laid out with respect to obscene speech. I could go into it for probably like 10 minutes. But essentially, a sign that just depicts the word that you described is still protected speech. A municipality or police department or any government agency can't prohibit a citizen from speaking under constitutionally protected speech, and even though it might be offensive to almost everyone, if it, I don't necessarily mean to downplay it at all, but if it was something that somebody tweeted you know, Twitter can just ban it, but Twitter's not the government, you know, and the government can't just say, you know, your speech is offensive or obscene, and prohibit you from speaking it. It's a much higher threshold, fortunately or unfortunately.
Okay, thank you, Casey.
We will continue to monitor the situation. I would recommend you continue to call so that we can review anything new that occurs. And we'll do what we can to assist you guys that's within our power.
Thank you.
I'm here about another matter that I'd like to just ask.
Could you come up? We can't hear you. Can you come up?
Okay, well, you got rid of the podium, I'm glad of that.
It's a great podium. They need it back.
I hate that podium. And I hate to have my back to people, so I'm gonna go right where the podium used to be. What I wanna ask is, you're not dealing with a normal person, we all know that. I'm gonna ask you, because it is a street that young people, young kids walk down the street, and they will comment and say things because they're young, brave, and like to get excited. What happens if one of those kids get hurt and get hurt bad? Now, you're worried about her rights of freedom of speech. What if they sue the city because nothing was done about it?
How would someone get hurt walking past your signs?
If I were walking past your sign and you have those signs and I'm a 15-year-old kid and she's out in her yard and I say, you know, crazy lady, you should get rid of those signs. Does that mean that's what you are? The kids, and then she comes and attacks them?
And that's different. That's not free speech. That would be an assault.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but what if they're hurt bad? That's what bothers me. You're in a neighborhood where there's young people walking by. It's not just a
At
neighborhood.
this point, we're not aware that she has threatened to harm anyone or herself.
School has just started.
I'm just telling you, at this point, there's no reports
Okay, I'm just
that she
saying.
has threatened to
I
harm
worry
herself.
about that because she's not a normal person. Okay, I'm just throwing that out. I'm not here tonight about that, but what I'm here tonight is, I'm gonna ask someone up there, answer this question. Why did you decide to be on council? And then I'll go with what I'm here for. What was the reason you decided to run for council? Anyone that would seem to sum it up.
I think if you Google my name in city council, you'll see that numerous times when I announced that I was running for council or for mayor, I explained why I was running.
Okay, but I'm asking you now at this meeting just to give a
Want to help. Want to serve the citizens of Bradford and help better the city of Bradford.
Okay, thank you, that's what I was looking for. A group of the people who have started Save Bradford Hospital came down here and addressed council. They are working very, very hard. Thank you, Terry Lopez, for showing up at one of our meetings. What they need right now, and that's why I'm glad you're here, they need some clout to help them get through this. Questions have been asked about that meeting, very good questions, like, did Clyde Health pay anything for the hospital? What happened to all the money that was donated by the people in Bradford that went to the foundation and they moved all their equipment over to Olean General? How much did Clyde pay to get Bradford Hospital? I mean, and then one person said, you know, you're not gonna do this alone, you've got to get the state attorney in Pennsylvania to answer these questions. They don't have the money to hire an attorney. But what bothers me is that without a hospital, you're gonna lose industry. Without a hospital, no one's gonna wanna come into this city, no matter what. If there was an accident, remember particle board, remember the air crashes, there is no hospital here to help these people if something like that were to happen. God forbid that it would happen. But our hospital was brand new, it was remodeled, $8 million was spent on that hospital to remodel it. It's probably, I go to Sisters Hospital for my chemo, and it's in better shape than Sisters Hospital. And today, we made the Buffalo News Station. Do you know why? Because Kaleida Health employees are suing them for too much work, no much money, and our name, Bradford Hospital, along with all those other New York State entities, was there. So my question to you is, why aren't you, as council, doing something about this, or at least attending the meetings to see what goes on in those meetings? Why aren't you getting together with the industries in here who have to worry if there's an accident? What would happen if there was an explosion at Kendall or something like that? These are possibilities that could happen. And I feel bad that no one on this board, except Terry Lopez, showed up at a meeting to say, we're interested in this, how can we help you?
Well, I can specifically say I've attended a multitude of meetings to see what's going on. Maybe not that group, but a multitude of meetings.
Yeah, but Chris, this is what I'm saying. If you've got a group of people, the first meeting, there had to be over 400 people in the city of Bradford there. And then for some reason, they changed it to the library, and you can hardly fit anybody in the library. But the group, and everybody knew it, I kept saying to Betsy, where are they gonna park? What are they, and I think everybody was thinking this and didn't go. We need a hospital here. And it wasn't our, and everybody's very well aware of the fact in the community, that hospital was closed to keep Olean General going. That's the whole thing behind it. That's, you know, if they had kept Bradford Hospital open, Olean General would have been closed instead of Bradford Hospital. But the entity that owned all of them was from New York State. So what are you gonna do if you're a New York State entity? Are you gonna close your Olean General Hospital and keep Bradford open? I mean, there's a lot of politics going on in here, and they need some legal advice. And since he's employed by the city and getting his salary, it would be nice if he would help them out. Even if it's just, I mean, I know these are crazy answers. You find out about the Supreme Court, find out about the Attorney General. Where did the money come from? Did they buy them? How did they get the money, you know?
Well, I think part of that specifically to address what you're, I think, asking, and I could be wrong,
Okay,
so
well,
correct
go
me if
ahead.
I'm
Go ahead, I
misunderstanding.
will.
But from a legal perspective, taking legal action, like a basic tenet that encompasses any sort of lawsuit or action in the courts, an individual or an entity bringing an action has to have what's called standing to do that. And I'm not aware, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, hopefully I am, I don't ever really like say that,
No,
but
I'll correct you.
I'm not aware how the city of Bradford as a governmental entity would have standing to pursue a legal course of action.
I'm gonna stop you right there, because maybe I made it, I'm not asking you to pursue it in a legal way. What I'm asking you is to help them get some information, if they have a reason to go after them legally. I mean, if we can't do anything, then the idea is mute, and we have to decide that we have a hospital that no one, 10 beds are filled, and if you are sick or dying, and you don't wanna go to Olean General because they're short-handed over there anyway, then, you're gonna die, basically, or by the time you get to Erie or something. For a long time, when you had a heart attack, they life-flighted you to Erie, PA, that was it. Now, they send you to supposedly this cardiac unit in Olean, New York. I know 1, 2, 3 people, not lying, I'll give you their names if I thought I was allowed to, they died in Olean General Hospital suffering heart attacks. One of them was my nephew. So I know this for a fact. In the olden days, a helicopter would have been down and he would have been up in Erie. But because they're trying to make money for Olean General, everybody goes to Olean General with the wonderful new cardiac unit that they have here. I'm not asking for a lawsuit. I'm asking for someone in this city, and namely since you're the attorney, to address the group and help them out and see what they need and what they can do and how they can handle it.
Well, and again, and I think maybe I understand your question a little better, but like, because I know you asked, well, what did Kaleida pay for or whatever? There's ways to get answers from an entity. Number one is to ask politely, but they don't necessarily have to, they don't have to
think
abide
it's
by
been
that.
asked?
Right, which they don't have to politely, but to compel an answer from someone is like a discovery process in like a legal action. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure how the city itself would have standing to compel them to do that.
Mr. Ard, I can tell you that with Terry and Fred attending your meetings, if they felt it was appropriate to discuss with Casey to look into that, they could request that. But that request has to come from city council.
But they missed the most important meeting, the first one, when all this was brought out. And what's happening, Chris, is because the group is not getting answers then people are going by the wayside. They're like, why, what's the use of coming to this meeting, because we're not getting the answers to the questions that we have.
Well, I can tell you, you're gonna accomplish more in a small meeting of level heads than you are in a large
Oh, no,
crowd.
these people were very good, as a matter of fact.
I'm just simply saying,
Yeah, no.
the direction for our attorney has to come from city council if it's
Right.
a city council.
Right.
So, with them on there, I would suggest you discuss with them, and then they can discuss.
Who is they? Who is
And I can say that from my standpoint, being involved in a lot of different community activities, the group has been to speak to many service clubs and many other groups, and they've interacted with, you know, in that case, maybe somewhere between 15 and 30 or 40 people. And those were good forums because there could be a lot of exchange of ideas. Things like Rotary and Kiwanis,
Yeah.
those type
Yeah.
of things. And they're back out again. I believe they're coming to Kiwanis in a couple of weeks. You know, that dialogue has been taking place. And this is my own personal opinion, it's kind of like a moving target. Your group zones in on something, or someone else zones in on something, and then the target keeps moving. But the goal is to keep a medical facility here that services the community. And I think we all agree that we need to, you know, there needs to be some changes made.
But without, you know, they say one person can make a difference, that's not true. Really and truthfully, what we have become as a town, even in regards to what those poor ladies are going through, we have become so complacent. And Jerry, you know, when something like this would have happened years ago with the old council and everything, this room would have been jammed with people, probably waiting on the streets. People have become so complacent, they want everybody else to do it for them. So that's what I'm saying, the girls are doing a tremendous job, they're working very hard at it. Yes, they're going around to meetings and stuff like that, but until they get some clout, I'm sure at all these meetings, I wonder how many Kiwanis people call them after it, how many Rotary people call them after it, you see what I'm getting at? People listen and say, oh, wonderful group, a good thing, but no one comes forward, because we've become so complacent in our society here, and that's what's sad.
Mr. Ed, we're gonna have to stop and move
Okay,
on.
I'll stop,
We're
yeah.
running out of time, but have you guys met with officials from Allegheny Health Systems or Jill Owens as you address your group?
What do you think?
They met with us. I'm asking a question. Have they met?
Why do they meet with you? Because you're council, and we're just a group of people.
So your answer is no, you're not met with them. Have you requested to meet with Dr. Owens?
I believe they have, I can't say
You're
that,
not sure?
you would have to ask.
Okay.
them.
I think if you did meet with her, or if you were present for the meeting we had with her, you'd find that you might change your tune a little bit. That she's trying very, very hard to keep as many services as she can in Bradford
Just recently,
with a plan to do so. On the other hand, very much has changed in the healthcare where they are able to administer healthcare because of COVID. A lot has changed. A lot of the mandates have changed. The way insurance companies reimburse, it's all changed now. They want people to get as much done from home as they possibly can, and there's a lot of factors that I think the public's not aware that have affected the healthcare industry.
Okay, I think everybody's aware of what's going on.
No, a lot of us, we weren't fully aware of all what she was
Okay,
dealing
but
with.
let me say this.
But I would suggest you try to meet with her, but we have to move on in the interest of time.
Okay,
Our
let me
public
just
comment portion's over.
because you brought that up in her meeting with her. Her knew all about this in the beginning, and if she had contacted people in industry and everything, maybe our hospital wouldn't have been closed.
She's new to that position, fairly new to the position
She was
that
on the
she's
board.
representing.
She was on the board.
Okay. Anybody else wish to address council? Okay. We've got old business, none, new business.
Okay, number 36806, authorize execution of an ALS-BLS joint pre-hospital services agreement with the Town of Carrollton Joint Fire District Ambulance.
Second.
Councilman Crawford.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Rio.
Yes. Number 36807, approve payment to Hennard Construction Police.
Second?
Councilman Crawford.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Rio.
Yes.
Number 36808, approve payment to New Enterprise Stone and Lime Company. Incorporated, streets.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes.
Number 36809, authorize and execute a 24-month lease agreement with Canon Financial and Kapinski Office Systems for a new copier, scanner, fax machine, fire, ambulance, code enforcement.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36810, approve payment to Whole Electric Incorporated Police.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. I'd like to note that that resolution is being paid for with donated funds.
Number 36811, approve payment to Sherwin-Williams Streets.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes.
Number 36812, approve payment to 6B Sales and Service LLC Streets.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36813, approve payment to Blair Technology Solutions LLC Police, also noting that this is being paid for with donated funds.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36814, approve payment to Armor Construction OECD.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36815, approve payment to Ace Hardware and Lumber of Bradford OECD.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36816, authorize the filing of a redevelopment assistance capital program grant application in the Pennsylvania Office of the Budget in the amount of $1 million for Bradford Regional Medical Center OECD.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36817, authorize the filing of a redevelopment assistance capital program grant application to the Pennsylvania Office of the Budget in the amount of $1 million for Zippler Manufacturing Company OECD.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36818, approve additional grant payment of $3,215 to Patricia Gerard for additional rehabilitation work at 40 High Street, OECD.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36819, authorize the Office of Economic Community Development to advertise for bid contracted services for the replacement of roofing at 62 Main Street, OECD.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36820, exonerate the city treasurer from collecting certain 2022 city property taxes to council finance.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes.
Number 36821, approve payment to J.A. Persina Inc. Streets.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. Number 36822, approve payment to Gulls LLC Police.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes.
Number 36823, approve payment to IA Construction Corporation Streets.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes.
Number 36824, approve payment to Total Equipment Solutions Refuge.
Second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes. I'd like to thank you all for coming this evening. If there be no further business for Bradford City Council, I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Councilman Proper?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Proper?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Rio?
Yes.